Alright, hey, good morning everyone. My name is Archibald.
Hey.
I am going to give you a speech today about how to make your computer run faster. Go ahead. So, who in here has a really slow computer at home, right? Most of you guys probably have some sort of a slow computer. And again, the speech is going to be talking about how to make your computer run faster. Now, in general, there are two ways to make your computer run faster. There's a software issue, and there's usually a hardware issue or some sort of a bottleneck to the point where it makes your computer run slower. This speech is primarily going to show you some different options as far as what hardware changes you can do to your computer to make your computer run faster. Again, there are some software things that you can do to your computer. For example, reinstalling your operating system, or removing any viruses, or disabling some of the startup programs that you may possibly have in your computer. However, again, this speech is going to be dedicated towards primarily with hardware changes. Alright, so again, who in here has a slow computer? Right, pretty much a lot of people have slow computers. Alright, most computers, it looks something generally like this, where once you turn it on, it goes nice and slow. It feels like sometimes you just, when you turn on your computer, you just have to sit there forever just for your computer to turn on. But what do we normally do when you have a slow computer? Well, we usually go to Best Buy or Geek Squad or some sort of store where we can try to ask for some advice as far as, hey, what can I do to make the computer run faster, right? But for the most part, they will usually tell you to add more RAM on your computer. But it's not always the case, where adding RAM to your computer is not always the absolute solution to make your computer run faster. But why do the employees at Best Buy or Geek Squad always suggest that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is the lack of knowledge. Sometimes they'll just come up to you, and that's how they've been trained. You want to make your computer run faster? Add more RAM. The lack of experience. A lot of the people that work at Best Buy, especially the guys that work in the sales floor, they don't usually have a lot of experience as far as how to build a computer or how to make a computer run faster. The other one is laziness. Sometimes they're just sitting there, standing around, not doing anything, and they're just being lazy about it, and they just tell you one thing after the other, or what their buddy has done in the past, and so on and so forth. And sometimes the employees are just too busy to actually help you in detail as far as how to make the computer run faster. Alright? Now, don't get me wrong, as far as upgrading your RAM, it is a good, cheap, and fast way to actually improve the performance of your computer. Now, kind of going off on a tangent here, but does anybody know what this is? Right? It's the old record player, right? But how fast does it take for you to actually skip to the next song? Right? Anybody ever used one of these before? Right? But it's actually quite difficult, because there's a pin, there's an arm, and there's a pin that rotates around on the disc, and trying to locate a song or trying to go to the next song is a little bit more time consuming. In comparison to the new iPod, actually they stopped making the iPods now, but in comparison to the newer devices that we use today, how fast can you skip and locate a new song? Right? It's just as simple as click of a button, right? But what happens is the hard drives that we use in today's computers look similar to something like this, which is called a standard platter drive, and the newer hard drives are called solid-state drives. But what do they look like on the inside? It actually similarly looks to the old record player, where it's actually just a hard platter. It's just a platter drive that spins, and if you notice, there's an arm and there's a needle that's actually looking for the data in your drive. But on the new solid-state drives, which looks something like this, which kind of looks like what looks like in the iPod, and this is just basically just a comparison with the old technology and the new technology. This actually takes time for your computer to actually search for the data and actually produce it onto your screen. Right? So what are the pros and cons about putting a solid-state drive versus RAM? Versus there's a couple of pros. when you change your computer and you change it to a solid state drive, there is a significant performance in comparison to just adding RAM. Can you get some performance just adding RAM? Sure you can. Compatibility. The compatibility between a solid state drive and RAM. Here's the thing: if you upgrade your computer by simply changing the solid state drive, you can actually take that new drive, and once that computer dies for whatever reason or another, you can actually take that drive and put it into a new computer. So you can. It's kind of like buying high performance tires on your car, and then if your car for whatever reason you have to trash it or sell it, you can actually take those tires and put it onto your new car or to another car. Obviously with the bolts, assuming that the bolts actually match, right? But this drive that you're gonna put on that on a computer, on that old computer, will actually be compatible with a newer computer that you're gonna be upgrading in the future. However, with RAMs, whatever RAM is compatible with that computer, it may not be necessarily be compatible with a new computer that you're going to be purchasing in the future. Capacity limitations. This is more of a downside with solid state drive, but actually the biggest hard drive that you can buy in the market right now is about six terabytes. The biggest that you can buy on a solid state drive is about 1 terabyte, and they usually run about $500 or so. So there are some capacity limitations in comparison to a hard drive. And then keep in mind that buying RAM can actually be cheaper than solid state drive. On the flip side of that, there are some cons to it as well. Well, with solid state drives, again, they're very expensive. Me personally, the picture that you guys saw here, the Samsung hard drive, is actually the hard drive that I have in my computer. That was a 1 terabyte hard drive that I purchased for my personal computer. It's about $500 for that hard drive. The downside to having to install a solid state drive on your computer is actually you have to reinstall the operating system. And again, there are some capacity limitations because you are limited to the size and the capacity of that drive. With some of the cons, again, they're cheap with RAM, and they're easy to install. All you do is you open up a plate and you just pop it on. The compatibility with RAM is that once you put it on that computer, you can take it off, and there's a slight chance that it's going to be compatible with another computer that you're going to purchase. So if it's not compatible, then you just wasted all that money that you invested on your computer. So bottom line up front, if you do have the money, can you go back? Bottom line up front is that if you do have the money, by all means, I would highly suggest that you invest money on a solid state drive rather than increasing the RAM. Obviously, if you have the money to do both, by all means do both. For long term, if you want to invest that kind of money on the computer for an upgrade, it's better to invest on a solid state drive versus buying RAM. So obviously, if it's short term, then your better bet is a RAM. And if you do know how to install the operating system on a computer, then solid state is probably the best way to go. So, but other than that, if you have any questions, any questions pertaining to how to make a computer like that? No? Okay. All right, thank you for your time.